Hi everyone, this is Susan. So I wanted to show you an example of what I would use for the discussion board assignment part 1, where I ask you to find a very text dominant design. Because the point is I want you to see how type works as a visual and or with a visual to complete a whole message. Now in this case, this is just type. It's just type and colors, and it's very powerful. I think that the use of color here is really kind of ingenious. I might have made more of it orange, kind of the orangey red in Disaster, but nobody asked me. Anyway, one of the things we're going to discuss with visual hierarchy next week, and visual hierarchy is one of my very favorite topics to discuss in design because it's so impactful. For you as a designer, and then it's the techniques, learning the techniques of visual hierarchy, and it's also so impactful for how you read and consume design. So just as that example here, yes, the first thing that we do see is the title, How To. Our eye is drawn here because this is the largest text. But note that Bill Gates is the second text that we would notice. So his name is more important even than the subtitle. So in most book covers, if we don't know who the author is, the author's name can be very small. I know this from personal experience. And, because people don't know you, you're not really helping to sell it. So, the text that gets highlighted is text is, really going to draw people in. So also the other thing I wanted to point out is how this works as its own visual unit. On Canva, I did show you some of those sort of pre-formatted type combinations. And yes, they look good. They are kind of hard to work with, and I like them visually because what they do is they take text and they make it into like its own visual element, which I really like, and is really something that you're going to want to start employing on project number 2. And we'll get more into that later. But I like how the kerning and the leading between, which is the spacing between the letters and the words was adjusted so that it fit. Like here, the how to, the kerning here was adjusted, and then there's more space in between these words here so that it all will align. And when we have this, it really turns text into its own visual element. And then if you had something like this within another design, again, you can see how this piece of the design would work kind of as its own like text/visual. So I think that this is a really great example of the power of text. I did mention not to use like horror or gothic, like just not something that's almost cliche, where it's the dripping blood. That's so horror, or the gothic letters, the Gone with the Wind. So find something that is just a little more subtle, but where because of how it's being handled with size and color and shape. Also, the other thing I want to point out too is this is pretty thick. It's display type. It's sort of slabby, but it's thick. It's like how to. This is like definitive. This is authoritative. It gives you that feeling. And so that's really what I want you to see when you are looking at these, and when you're looking at things, to use for this example, to really look at how the designer is using type as a visual. Okay, that's it for week 2 videos.